create an invoice, you can either go to sales and receipts, or if you're using routing or scheduling, you can use one of those features to find your customer, but I'm going to use sales and receipts in this example. You will look for the customer that you're wanting to do the search on. In my case, I'm looking for AT&T. I can select name or use the account number or slide up and down through the scroll bar. Here's AT&T. I can double click or highlight and hit enter. And I decide what function I want to do. I can make an invoice or receive payment, list it as a visit only, etc. In this case, I'm going to do an invoice. I can also check down here the address. This is the service address. Make sure that I know where I'm going. Phone number, address, city. There's their name again. Confirm it. So I'm going to choose invoices. There is a list of invoices here that have already been ones that I've worked on before, including the one at the bottom here, which is one that I had started but not completed. I could choose to go in here and finish it. I might have started this and done it as a quote, or I might have started it and then the customer changed their mind, or I may have started it and got called away and had to go to another call and return back here, and they want to finish this up. In this case, though, I'm going to add a brand new invoice. And here I can check my bill to and service addresses again. And I could fill in a PO number if that was going to be required. Then I come down, scroll down on my list, and I see that there's nothing in here yet. I have no equipment I'm working on, no products added yet. So I will click Add. At Add, I have the opportunity to decide what piece of equipment or a cabinet or fixture I'm working on using the drop-down. These are my choices that have already been filled in the past. If the equipment that I'm working on is not listed here, I can click Create and add it, or I can edit an existing one if I want to put more details in around it. Let's take a look and see what cabinet 1 looks like. I can see that there's a little bit more detail in here. For example, there's a memo down here that it's in a hard-to-reach corner. But if there was a make, model, serial number that I wanted to fill in now, I could fill this in. It'll save it for next time and send it to the office and report it. I can also check the install date and warranty dates for parts and labor. The install date has a checkbox next to it. That checkbox is you check to indicate that this is the actual install date, that we or your company has done this install, and you can verify that date. That'll probably many times be filled in by the office, but that's what that checkbox would mean. Click OK to close. If you've made any changes, it would ask if you want to save. We would have told yes. And now we're going to choose our cabinet, cabinet 1 or equipment or fixture, and a template. This will pre-populate our cabinet with pre-existing equipment and supplies and perhaps steps. By clicking continue, it'll create the cabinet and then fill it. And as you can see, it opened this up right into a product. Product 0012, which is a hip responder pack. 1 of 3. That is to say there are 3 items already pre-populated in here for us. The quantity is 0 by default, because that's what the office set up. They could have set this to be something else, but in general, you can probably be set up as a 0, and then you can decide if there's one that you put in. And to fill in with 1, you just simply type 1, and then you can hit enter and move you down to the next field if you need to make a price adjustment. In general, you should not have to do price overrides. The pricing is all automatically calculated through the system. You can type in a special note down here if there was some other details that the customer should be aware of that print out on their invoice for this. When we're done here, we can click this right arrow or the right arrow up here at the top. It'll open up the next item. You can see now it says 2 of 3. And we can say that perhaps they got 2 of these. enter, the right arrow up here, and maybe they went ahead and got 0 of these. And if there's 0, it will not print on the invoice. And you can see on the bottom here also the on-hand quantity and committed and available. The on-hand quantity is how many should you have on the truck. The committed reflect ones that have already been put on this invoice, perhaps into another cabinet or fixture. And so the available is the on-hand minus the committed. And that's how many you should have still available. If you leave this invoice and go in the middle and go to do another one, these numbers will reset because they are still all on the truck at that time. And if you try and oversell it, will come with a warning saying that you do not have enough. For example, if I hit the back arrow here, you'll see that we've got a quantity of 2 on order, 24 on hand, 2 committed to this invoice on this, and then that means there's 22 still available. So now if we're ready to add an additional item, we can click over to the right, but when we get to the last item, it'll say it's the last record. You'll see at the top it says we're at 3 of 3. So if there's nothing else that's already populated in here, we click OK. If we want to add an additional item, we click More. And we can do that from any. We can do that from 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, or wherever. And to add another item, we simply, if we know the item number, we type it in, hit Enter. It looks it up and fills it out with a quantity of 1, fills in the pricing, description. You can see the on-hand quantities on bottom. Again, we can type in the special note field. If it's just 1, we can click Enter, Enter, Enter again. Will bring us to a new blank item. The same as if we hit the More button. Now, if we have another item that we're wanting to look up, but we're not exactly sure what the item is, we think it's something like item code. We think it starts with 002, for example. This star looks it up and shows us everything that has a 002 for search values. We got 0023, 0024, 28. So I'll say 023. I can select whichever one off this list. And if it's not here, if I have typed it wrong, I can continue to search here. I can narrow it down. I could say, maybe it was 003. I could blank this whole thing out and say, show me search of everything. But in general, you probably want to try and be a little more specific because you pull them all up, you're going to have a whole list of all your products, and depending upon how long that list is, it may take a little while to scroll through and find. But you can do that. So I'm going to go back and say 002. And now if I choose 0023 and click Select, any of them that I'd highlighted, whichever one I'd highlighted, you can highlight one. Click Select. You'll notice it fills it in now for the product. We typed up there only 002. It now filled it in 0023, put in a quantity of 1, put in the pricing, and the description. Now notice down here it says on hand 19, committed is 0, because we have not moved off here to save this. It doesn't know if we're doing 1 or 3 or 0 until we either exit the screen by using the left arrow, clicking More, clicking OK, something to get us off here. The committed will stay at 0, even though when we go back, you'll see that these now have committed of 1. And so by navigating with the arrows, it then populates the committed quantity. So now that I'm done with this, I've got my items all in here. I can click OK or record close. And my list is empty. Find is your friend. Whenever you are looking and you think you put something in and you don't see it, click Find. It will refresh the list. And as you can see, we have 5 items listed here. The first 3 are the ones that were populated through the template. The last 2 are the 2 that we manually entered. Now you can always create a non-template, which would just be a cabinet or a fixture or equipment that would be an empty list, and then you would add each item. But by using the template, it can help speed up your normal process.